Let's set the scene. It's the 17th century in India, and most of the subcontinent is under the thumb of massive, often oppressive empires. But, in the rugged hills of the Deccan, one leader dared to dream of something totally different. This is the incredible story of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and his quest for what he called Swarajya, or self-rule.
So let's just jump right into the heart of it all with this one question. How on earth can a single person, with pretty limited resources, stand up and challenge these colossal powers like the Mughals and the Adil Shahi Sultanate? I mean, it sounds completely impossible, right? Well, Shivaji's life is pretty much the answer to that question.
And that answer has a name: Swarajya. Now, this wasn't just about grabbing land or power. No, Swarajya was a totally revolutionary idea. It meant a kingdom governed by its own people, for its own people. A state built on the bedrock of justice, freedom, and a really deep sense of self-respect. This one word, it was the fuel for his entire movement.
So where did this impossible dream even begin? Well, it started right here, with a young boy born in the hill fort of Shivray. He was raised by his mother, the absolutely brilliant and devout Jijabai. And she didn't just raise him, she filled his mind with tales of ancient heroes from the Ramayana and Mahabharata, instilling in him this fiery spirit and a profound sense of what's right and wrong that would literally shape his destiny.
But to really get a handle on his mission, we've got to ask a more basic question. Why was this dream of Swarajya so necessary in the first place? What was going on in the world that pushed him to take on such a monumental, almost crazy task? Let's break it down.
First off, you have the political reality of the time. The ruling powers, whether it was the Mughals or the Adil Shahi, often treated the common person as little more than a piggy bank. We're talking about crushing taxes, systemic oppression, and just a total disregard for the well-being of the local people. For Shivaji, the very idea that people should be treated like that in their own homeland was just unacceptable.
Second, there was a real cultural and spiritual crisis going on. Temples were often damaged or destroyed, and religious intolerance created this constant atmosphere of fear. But what's really remarkable is that Shivaji's goal wasn't to create a state for just one religion. Far from it. He pictured a kingdom where all faiths would be respected and everyone could practice their traditions freely without being afraid.
And third, and this is so crucial, was the social mission. In an era of constant war, it was always the women and the weak who were the most vulnerable. So Shivaji laid down a strict code of conduct. The honor of women, it didn't matter what their background was to be protected at all costs. This wasn't just some suggestion, it was a cornerstone of his vision for a just society. Okay, so we've got the why. The motivation was crystal clear: justice, freedom, and respect. But that brings us right back to our big question, doesn't it? How did he actually do it? How do you turn a noble vision like that into reality when you're completely outmatched and outgunned? Well, the answer lies in brilliant, unconventional strategy. Shivaji's master plan was pure genius, and you can really break it down into 4 key steps. 1. Capture the hill forts. These became the backbone of his kingdom. They were safe, strategic, and almost impossible to attack. 2. Get the local people on his side. He wasn't seen as a conqueror, he was seen as a liberator. His fair policies earned him the fierce loyalty of everyday people. 3. Guerrilla warfare. He used the rugged landscape of the Western Ghats to his advantage, launching these lightning-fast raids that just baffled the huge, slow-moving imperial armies. And 4. Build a system that works. Winning battles is one thing, but he created a just and efficient administration to make sure his new state would actually last.
And this quote just captures the essence of his whole approach perfectly. It wasn't just about military tactics, it was a mindset. A deep belief that with courage, self-respect, and the right kind of leadership, no obstacle is truly impossible.
Okay, so now let's look at how this strategy actually played out on the ground. Shivaji's rise to power was marked by a series of just stunning victories that were often triumphs of pure intelligence and bravery over brute force. This timeline here shows just a few of the major turning points. In 1659, you have his legendary showdown with the terrifying general Afzal Khan at Pratapgarh, which really put him on the map. Then, the sack of Surat in 1664 was a direct and devastating hit to the Mughal treasury, right where it hurt. And of course, the Battle of Singahad in 1670 is this incredible story of sacrifice and valor to secure a critical fort.
But I want to zoom in on this one, the Agra escape. In 1666, Shivaji was trapped and imprisoned by the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. He was hundreds of miles from home. It looked like it was all over.
But in an act of pure genius, he orchestrated this masterful escape right under the noses of the entire Mughal court. This wasn't a military battle, but it was maybe his greatest strategic victory ever, a total triumph of mind over might that became a legend across India.
And, this brilliance wasn't just limited to the battlefield. Shivaji wasn't just a warrior, he was a nation builder at his core. After he secured his kingdom, his focus shifted completely to creating a state that would actually last for generations. And that brings us to this landmark event, his coronation. On June 6, 1674, Shivaji was formally crowned Chhatrapati, or sovereign king. Now, this was way more than just a ceremony. It was an official declaration to the entire world that Swarajya was now an independent, established, and legitimate state that was going to operate on its own terms.
So, how did he govern? Well, he created something called the Ashtapradhan Mandal, a council of 8 ministers. This was essentially a 17th century version of a modern cabinet. Each minister had a specific job, from finance and foreign affairs to defense. It created a system of accountable, organized, and super efficient government, which was truly revolutionary for its time. And this brilliant administration went even further. He set up a fair tax system where farmers paid based on their actual harvest, not some flat, crippling rate. He built a professional army that was paid with regular salaries, which put an end to the practice of looting. He established India's first organized navy to protect the coastline, and he wove his core values, the protection of women and respect for all religions, right into the law of the land.
Shivaji Maharaj passed away in 1680, at the relatively young age of 50. But his work was far from over. The empire he built was incredibly important, but his true legacy was something far more profound, something that would last.
Because here's the real takeaway. Shivaji's greatest achievement wasn't just founding an empire, it was igniting a spirit. He lit this flame of self-respect, of independence, and of the courage to fight for what's right. This idea, this flame of Swarajya, was his immortal legacy and inspired generations long, long after he was gone.
His life is just a testament to this powerful message. If the will is strong, no obstacle's too big. It perfectly sums up a man who faced impossible odds and, through sheer force of will and brilliant strategy, literally changed the course of history.
So this leaves us with a final thought to mull over. When we look back at his life, which of these core ideals, his unbelievable courage, his commitment to just and fair government, or his profound respect for all people, do you think we need most in our world today? It's a question we're thinking about.